Okay, for those of you wanting to route a power cable for an amplifier or a subwoofer to your trunk, here's how I did it on a Gen 2 Camry, 1990 Camry. Here's how I did it. There's information on the Toyota Nation forums on how to do this, and this is the method that was described there. I'm just hoping that by doing it on video, it's even more concise and apparent what you need to do. So there's my battery. I've got my amp power cable. So the entry into the car happens right here on this plastic grommet. You can see it right down there. It's in the top right under the hood. So that plastic grommet feeds down into the fender under the driver's side wheel. Under the wheel here, you'll see the plastic grommet coming out and going immediately into an orange grommet. And I have went ahead and made a new puncture with a screw. I punctured a new hole in that grommet so I could put the power cable in there. How you access this compartment down here is you have to take off your fender. It's like a fender lining under the wheel, and you just have to take off about 8 bolts to get this off, and it just kind of pops off there. You may also need to take off your mud flap if you have mud flaps. There are the bolts there. Really simple. If you wanted to make it easier on yourself, you can take the wheel off. It's much easier to access the bolts, but you don't have to if you have a lot of perseverance or you have small hands. So once you get it through the plastic grommet, through the orange grommet, and feed it through, then inside the driver's side, it pops out right under here. Let's see if I can get the view on it. So the orange grommet is visible up there. You have to crank your head. It comes out right next to your clutch, brake, and accelerator, and then you're ready to route it through the car. Okay, I've finished my install of my subwoofer and amplifier, but I'm going to show you where I routed my cable and stuff, just to give you a better idea of how you may want to do it. So, the cable for the power comes in under the driver's side here. First thing you have to do is take this panel off. It's a blue panel. There's a little rubber nut that you can just untighten with your hand right there. This pops off after you get this bottom panel off. There's 3 screws for this. Each screw has a clip underneath it, and once you get the screws out, you just pry up with some force on each one and it'll pop off. Under there you've got your carpet. There's 2 rubber clips that are really pliable. You just basically bend the clips around their fastener and the carpet will peel up. And then under there there's a square rubber tube, and the rubber tubing is where you're going to lay your wire into. It has metal clips, one here and one here, and those metal clips need to be peeled up. I use the screwdriver to get them peeled up, and they're kind of like, they have a glue or an adhesive stuck to the rubber tubing. So I had to get my screwdriver under there and break it up a little bit so I could bend the clip around and push it over to the side. At that point you can peel up the rubber tubing and feed your wire into it. You can either feed it in from the end. It usually gets stuck somewhere around here because there's more wires coming in. So it helps if you peel it up and kind of guide it along as you go down here. Then you get to this middle section of the car, and I'll show you just on the position here. So this is where the plastic piece or the seat belt comes out, and it has to be popped up, but first you have to pop this side panel up first. So it's this panel that runs from here to here. There's a clip here and a clip here at the top, and you just gently pry off. They seem to be the most breakable clips involved in this whole process. I broke one of them. Once this is off, then you can take this bottom panel off by prying the plastic around the edge. So you can see it has a plastic lip, and you just pry it around till it gets past the metal edge of the car, and you pry it all the way down here, all the way off, and then it'll pop off, and you'll be able to see the exposed pathway underneath this piece of plastic, which leads to the back. Same story with this plastic covering the carpet with the clip and the rubber tubing. You're gonna guide your wire under here and it'll pop out right about here. At this point you need to take your seats off, or your rear seat out. There are 2 clips right there. There it is. So there's 2 clips, there's one on each side, and you just grab a hold of the clip and you pull that way. You pull toward the front of the car with quite a bit of force, and when you do it you'll hear a little snap, and then you'll be able to lift up on the seat, and when you lift up on the seat it'll just pry up from the front. So you'll get the first one, go over there, pull it out, get the second, then the seat just pulls. You just pull it that direction and it'll pop right out. You'll just tuck the seat belts through their holes, and then you can pull the back seat out. From there you'll be able to actually see where your wire is coming out from, and the next step is to take the back side of the back seat off. There's a bolt right here and a bolt on the other side, and that's a 12mm bolt. So remove it on both sides down here, and then this seat has clips, 3 clips on the top portion behind it. So you just lift upwards. You just push up with a lot of force, and then you can pull the seat out towards you. So it's like up and out. You can do it in stages. So you do one, then you do the middle, and then you do the far side. So that will remove the rear seat. Then you can feed your wire from down here up under this piece of plastic here, which you can just feed it under. You'll see how you can pry it up and feed it under once you get this seat out, and it'll go up here. And then right here with this seat removed, there's a couple of holes in the metal which you can feed wire directly through and into your trunk. Just be careful to fasten it with some sort of grommet or protective tape, because there is sharp metal there and you don't want your wires to get cut. So you just feed it through there and into the trunk. So there's my power cable and my ground coming out on that side of the trunk. And then I wired the audio and the remote turn-on lead through the other side of the trunk in the exact same way that I just described. The last thing to cover is the ground. Now right back here where I was, right here, once again, there's a metal panel with a bolt. I ran my ground wire using that bolt. I sanded off the paint from the bolt as well as the surface behind it, and attached my ground wire to that and fed it the same way I fed the power. And it's working great, no ground loop interference or anything. So I would suggest running your power along the driver's side, and then running your audio and remote turn-on switch around the right side, the passenger side of the car.